Well, it's 1 o'clock, and I always like to start on time because your time is valuable, and I want to respect that. So how many of you were here 10 days ago or so when we had this meeting out here? So some people were here at that. That's good. And then we've got some new people as well. And so what I want to do is I don't want to necessarily replicate what we did 10 days ago. And so if a lot of those topics and points that we've heard about, those have been recorded. So what I'd like to do is get new information today. I have a script I'm going to be reading from here in a minute before we open it up so we can hear from all of you. And just want to share with you, if you're not aware, over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, maybe 3 years or so, there has been an effort to not only change the name of Squaw Valley, but also change streets and other place features. About 19 months ago, there was a bill that was passed and signed into law by the governor, AB 2022, that requires the process that we are here for today for us to take suggestions on these place names that have the reference squaw in them that the state's identified and say need to be changed. And so today what I would like to do, to the extent possible, with the 3 place areas, if we can get suggested names that you may have about those areas, that's great. If you have other comments that you'd like to make as well, that's completely appropriate and okay too. I want to let everyone know that we have 4 cameras rolling, and if you were here 10 days ago, you saw a couple days after we had our meeting, I released the video. You can see all 4 camera angles of what took place. My goal is to make sure that you have a voice in this process. I believe that as we have gotten where we are here today, really the local residents of Squaw Valley have been left out. Their voices have not been heard to the extent that really they should be. To me, this is an issue that is a local issue, and so I want to make sure that your voices are heard. So whatever is said, that is going to be sent to Sacramento. Any comments and suggestions, ideas are also going to be written down up here on this board, and that's going to be sent, of course, to the organization called Kagan, and so we're going to get into that in just a moment. Some people I want to introduce here real quick. This is Brett Rush. Brett Rush is going to be our scribe, and he is my chief of staff. And also David Tongipa, he is over here. He's got microphones, and so when we get to the question and answer or just comment period, he will bring a microphone over to you. And so please, please raise your hand, speak into the mic, because if you don't, we won't be able to pick up the audio from the comments that you're making. And it's really important to not only for us to get the video, but also the comments that you'd like to make as it relates to your community. So we're going to try to keep this meeting today to between 45 minutes to an hour, and really want to focus in on, again, names and suggestions that you have. So why we are here. The state of California passed Assembly Bill AB 2022, which requires state and local agencies to identify and submit replacement names for any uses of the word squaw. As part of that process, the governor created the California Advisory Committee on Geographic Names, also known as Kagan, and the California Natural Resources Agency, which that acronym is CNRA, to oversee this process. But they're not here. I'm the one that's here. The Kagan and CNRA have requested the County of Fresno, in partnership with the California Native American tribes, to identify appropriate replacement names for the squaw names on features and places. Newly named features and places should be informed by tribal consultation, public engagement, and be respectful of tribes and tribal communities. Public agencies are required to submit the replacement names for all squaw named places and features. All this needs to be submitted by August 6th of this year. So the reason that I, again, wanted to have these 2 meetings now is I want to make sure that we get everything turned in prior to August 6th, because if we don't, Kagan may move forward without any of the comments that you're sharing. And again, local voices matter. The County of Fresno, the California Advisory Committee on Geographic Names, and the California Natural Resource Agency have identified the following areas for submission of replacement names in Squaw Valley. There's the Squaw Valley Road, Squaw Leap Lane, and Squaw Valley Cemetery. So what I would ask is, as we begin to talk about those 3 locations, and you have suggested names for those roads, the cemetery, and those other places, Keep your comments to about 60 seconds or so, and when other people are speaking, please be respectful of the comments that those individuals have as well. So with that, if you have any questions, just raise your hand, and we've got our first person right here in the front row who would like to say something.
Okay, I don't not only have a comment, I had a question. Number one, Squaw Valley cannot put up a sign unless it says Squaw Valley, California. It can't say Squaw Valley, California because the governor has no business getting his nose stuck into it. This is a community and it's unincorporated. So he can't change the name. Nobody can change the name except the people that live here. So I don't know what they can do about the as far as the cemetery. It's still got to be. It's in Squaw Valley. They want to change the name to like Mr. Rainwater, Rain Gutter. He came up here from Orange Cove, California. He has no business here. He should be in Stockton. You know why? There's a street on, it's called Yocus Avenue. Yocus Indians settled Stockton because of Stockton. And you know what? I'd like to see Rain Gutter up here because he.
That's very disrespectful.
All right, I'm sorry.
He has a name. His name is Roman Raintree. So don't disrespect.
Well, I.
Freedom of speech.
Amen, brother. Thank you. The governor cannot change the name
So
because it's a city. It's not a city. It's a community.
sure, and so let me a few things I want to share with you. So we're here today because of AB 2022. The California Constitution, which is where counties derive their authority, basically says that when it comes to laws that the state of California passes, we have to follow. With AB 2022, some of the things that are in there, it says that by 2025, the county can't even in our printed materials use the term squaw. We have to use the term that Kagan comes up with for this area. We can no longer print anything. When it comes to signs that you have here, we can no longer replace signs that have the word squaw. And so I'll tell you, I have filed a lawsuit. I have, there have been a number of things that I've done because I believe in freedom of speech and everything else. But I also believe that we are a nation of laws. At the Superior Court, the case that the county had where we tried to defend the constitutional liberties that you have, the courts threw that out and said, the county has no standing. Only the people of Squaw Valley can file that kind of lawsuit. We have appealed that, and that case is going to be heard at the appellate level in June. But I know this, where we are today, it's very important for all of us to be respectful of each comment that's made here. I'm one who believes in smaller government, local control. I've done everything in my power to try to give more of a voice to the people of Squaw Valley. Your state representatives, federal representatives, a lot of them side with AB 2022, unfortunately. And when it comes to change, the best way that you make change when it comes to laws is by putting people into office who represent the same values as you. And with AB 2022, there was not a single legislator that voted against that bill. I think there were 4 or 5 that abstained in the assembly, and I don't know what that looked like in the state senate. But that was very frustrating to me because I was calling a lot of the representatives just saying, hey, the people of Squaw Valley feel like their voice is being left out. Come out, hear them. And that was not done. So very frustrating.
Well, I was going to say, you could put up a sign that says Squaw Valley, California. Okay? You don't have to because, number one, this is an unincorporated city or community. You got Fresno, California. You got Genuba, California. You got all these cities, that are cities. And they're mapped out as cities. This is mapped out as a community, so you don't have to change the name at all.
Thank you. Anyone else with a comment? Raise your hand. Right here in the back, we have a gentleman. I saw his hand first. And then we'll get to this young lady in the front row.
Yeah, my name's Kim Hamthorne. I'm a retired veteran, served 25 years in the military. I'm also law enforcement, retired law enforcement corrections. All right, last time I checked, I served the Constitution. I don't serve politicians, okay? These rules, this AB, whatever it is, I don't remember ever voting on that, right? The laws are not derived from those people on us. The Constitution regulates the government, doesn't regulate the people. So therefore, they need to check themselves and get in line with the Constitution. Now, you make the argument that we need to vote people in that will represent us the right way. Well, when a president gets overturned because of fraudulent elections, and don't tell me 2020 wasn't a fraudulent election, or the 2022 wasn't a fraudulent election, you're gaslighting me. I seen it, I watched it. I'm here to tell the truth, and that's all there is to it. Our politicians are bought and paid for by the globalist elite over in Davos or wherever they are. They do not represent us. All they do is take our tax monies and they send them to friggin' Ukraine. I'm done with it. I'm sick of it. Our politicians better start representing us in the United States. Because other than that, we have every right under the Declaration of Independence to throw them out, and we put our own government in. It's already set in stone. They need to check themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing I would like to share, and we're gonna right here. This young lady in the front row is gonna get it next, the microphone next. When it comes to what you do on your private property, you want to put a sign up, anything you want, you can do that. What I'm saying that the challenges that I have as county government is what AB 2022 does is it specifically speaks to me what printed material the county has, signs. We have authority over streets, and we're going to have to change sign names on those streets, and so we're here to talk about that today. But I don't want to take away your comments, the sacrifice you made as a veteran, because clearly as private property owners, you absolutely have rights, and I agree. Government is subservient to the people. I see it the same way as well. So let's get the next comment over here.
Okay, if I might lose my voice, I have my friend that's going to speak for me, but I'm going to read a brief history of the Squaw Valley Cemetery. My name's Lenore Cannon. My grandparents were W.J. and Elizabeth Foljam, and they came here in the early 1900s and purchased 25,000 acres in the Squaw Valley area. And I have been with the Squaw Valley Cemetery for a lot of years. So it took me a long time to pick out what I really wanted to say. The Squaw Valley Cemetery was deeded to the Squaw Valley Association and trustees George Smith, Orrin Kincaid, and Harry Burke on April the 17th, 1917 by my grandfather, W.J. Foljam. In the old days, Cemetery District was formed around school district boundaries. In 1939, the Squaw Valley Cemetery annexed with the Fresno County, forming the Squaw Valley Cemetery District, whose purpose was to provide cemetery services to the cemetery district. In the 1950s, we went to Sacramento to maintain our name. This was after Olympic Valley tried to take it. Melee, the Squaw Valley cook, Florence Drake, the teacher, and Marjorie Ade, the Squaw Valley Trading Post store owner, represented the people of Squaw Valley. It was proven that this had been Squaw Valley for over 100 years, and at that time, and we won. Every person in Squaw Valley had signed the petition. We have always been proud of our name, Squaw Valley, and never heard of it being bad. It was named this way before we got here. The local Indian families have always been my closest friends, and no one ever mentioned it was a bad word. It only meant women. Whoever started the name commotion should talk to the local Indian families and listen to what they say. The families I have talked to want to keep our name and are proud of it and our heritage. I believe everyone should take a long look at changing a name given to God's country long ago. The Indian families that live here in the community, they should be the ones that tell us what we should have. They have been here a lot longer than any of us. The new generation has put their own meaning to something that has been beautiful for hundreds of years. It will always be beautiful to me. I don't want to change the name. I will never change the name. We will always be Squaw Valley Cemetery in Squaw Valley, California. I've been here 96 years, and I haven't been to a whole lot of meetings because I have been ill. But I made up my mind, I'm coming today because this is Squaw Valley, and it'll always be Squaw Valley to us old people. We respect the Indians. We have nothing against that. And the Indians, they aren't the ones that started this whole thing, the ones that I know. They were my closest friends. I used to get on my horse and ride up here to Osborne's place, and we used to, us bareback, and then the three Indian girls, we would all get on the same horse, go around the corner by AB Overholzer's, and come back to the St. Rita's Mission, which was never locked. And we played the organ and everything and sang songs. I have so many stories that it took me a long time to pick out a small thing that people wouldn't get sick of listening at me. But if anybody in this community wants to hear anything, they can always call me. My name's Lenora Cannon. My phone number is... I'd be glad to hear from everybody. But this is Squaw Valley to me, and it'll be Squaw Valley from now on.
Well, for having a soft voice, it sure is strong.
Thank you very much. I was sure I wouldn't be able to speak today, and I have my neighbor who was going to take over for me, but it seemed like when I got here, this is something that's so with my heart. I'm able to speak today. I'm
Well,
96 years old, and I want you to know that this is God's country.
understood. And I was waiting for you to stand up and start preaching. But with that, let's get some more comments. And like I said, everything that is being said is recorded. And if you came 10 days ago, a couple days after the meeting, I put out on my social media the YouTube links so you could take a look, see every camera angle, see and hear what was discussed. And this information is going to be sent to the state.
My name's Jacob. I was a little late. Our game ran a little long, so you may have answered this already, but I got two questions. Squaw Valley Cemetery, and if it's already been answered, just let me know and then I'll catch the answer afterwards. How does the county have the authority to change the name of the cemetery? And then what is the option as far as putting another measure on another ballot measure for the people to vote, and maybe do something more, put it out there so people understand a little bit more, make it a little clearer or something, because I was really surprised at what was the two ballot measures, please? The two that you put forward.
Yeah, Measure A and Measure B, but the one that dealt with saying only the county has the authority to change names and not the state and federal government, that was Measure B.
Measure B. Okay, I was real surprised when A passed as much as it did and then B didn't. So is there a way of maybe hitting that up one more time, because we see it all the time, especially with some of these other ballot measures. They just keep hitting it and keep hitting it, keep hitting it, and trying until hopefully it passes. I mean, look at Fresno State, that one that's a second time through. So,
It failed even worse the second time than the first. Yeah. So a couple things. So things that the county is, well, let me talk to the Squaw Valley Cemetery question that you have. So the young lady up front here, who is 96 years young, talked about how her family has had ties, how that there were 25,000 acres that were purchased in the 1800s, how that cemetery district was formed, how in 1939 the Board of Supervisors created that cemetery district, but it has an independent board. So I don't believe the Board of Supervisors has authority over that district from the standpoint of telling it how to operate day to day or even what its name should be. The reason that it's on this list is because the state, we've shared all this with the state, and the state said, we don't care. We need you to have it on the list, and we want the public to offer up new names for that cemetery district. How they proceed with an attempted name change there, I have no idea what the Kagan's going to do, But again, I want to make sure I could ignore the state in all of this. Then you would not have an opportunity for your voice to be heard. I have done everything in my power over the course of the last 2 years to try to give the residents of Squaw Valley a voice. It's my job as your supervisor. And sometimes I feel like I'm fighting a losing battle, but I believe it's right. And I'm willing to sacrifice a lot for what I believe is right than to stand by and do nothing for possibly political gain for myself. So to your question about Measure B, the things that the county has done, we filed a lawsuit. We lost that lawsuit in Superior Court earlier this year. That, in the Superior Court, we've appealed that to the appellate court. That will be heard in June. In addition to that, if you recall, 18, 19 months ago, we had a community meeting here. I promised I was going to do certain things, which I've done. I said that I was going to send everyone a survey, and we received about 650, I don't want to call them ballots, but documents back where people indicated over 87% who sent those back said we don't want the name of Squaw Valley to change. But if it does have to change, the number one recommended name was Bear Mountain. I took that information and I sent that to the governor's office, to the Department of the Interior, USGS, and I said, look, here's what the community wants. Don't change the name. But if it has to change, the name that most of the residents said was Bear Mountain. They looked at all that information, and actually when you take a look at when they decided to call this place Yokuts Valley, Legal Women Voters weighed in. There were a number of other organizations that didn't have direct ties here that they listened to. They have the county and the surveys that we circulated, but they also had Roman Raintree and his 33,000 or so signatures that he had gathered from around the world. So all of that was used, and they decided to go with Yokuts Valley. But at that meeting, I also said I wasn't going to stop there. I was going to put something, because I want the residents of Fresno County to have a voice in all of this. That's what Measure B and Measure A was about. But Measure B more specifically when it came to name changes. And it wasn't just Squaw Valley that has me kind of baffled a little bit about how the state and federal government are kind of stepping over and changing some of the stuff. It's Kings Canyon, it's California Avenue, Ventura Avenue, and there were changes that were being made with very little local input that were impacting other parts of my district too. Measure B was meant to send a clear message, if passed, to the state and federal government that the people of Fresno County believe in local control. But Measure B was defeated by 36%, just crushed. To your comment about, is there an opportunity to bring another measure forward? I would probably say no, unless the people bring an initiative forward. And the reason I say no, when Measure B went before the voters, it passed. We have 5 members on the Board of Supervisors. Every one of my colleagues are amazing men that I get to work with. Measure B was put on the ballot with 3 votes. It requires 3 votes to get there. So to me, the voters have spoke loud and clear with Measure B, and they say no to Measure B. They communicate to me that they're okay with the process the state and federal government are using. I'm not okay with it. I want to make sure your voices are still heard. That's why I am here today. That's a long answer, long, complicated answer, but I got to tell you, the last few years, I've been doing everything in my power to try to make sure that your voices are heard and your will is carried forward. And a lot of the battles that I've taken on, I've lost, but I still believe that the voices of the people matter the most, and that's what I'll continue to fight for.
So if we have to do a people-driven ballot, what's that going to take?
Well, actually, one of the things that I talked about at the last meeting, aside from a ballot, is actually a people-driven lawsuit. Because a lot of businesses up here are being impacted. I was hearing stories from different businesses about how when you type in the Squaw Valley Motel or Squaw Valley Realty, those names don't even show up anymore. And so people who are looking for businesses can't find it. So if businesses and individuals can show harm, you may have standing. The lawsuit that we have, I was trying to stand up for your constitutional rights, but the Superior Court said government can't do that. The people have to stand up for their own rights. So we'll see what happens with the appeal, but that's the last option that I have trying to set aside AB 2022. If I lose at the appellate court, I'm out of options. But again, looking at why we're here today, the state says there's a process that needs to be put together. We need to hear the voices of the people. Are there any other comments from anyone else? Let's see here. So let's do this young man right here.
So yeah, the purpose of the meeting, as I understand this meeting, is to come up with possible replacement names for those three places that were mentioned: the Squaw Valley Road, Squaw Valley Cemetery, and Squaw Leap Lane. So I have some suggestions for replacing the first one. It could be and these are names that are indigenous names. One would be Noom Road, N-U-U-M Road. Noom means, in the local language, it means the people or people. So that's that one. On the cemetery, this is not an indigenous name, but I was thinking Friendship, because friendship might be a way of bringing the community together. And then third, there is another name that's called Inyana. So Inyana Road, it's not English, right? It's the indigenous language here, and it means Indigenous Peoples Road. So for the first one, it could be either Noom Road or Inyana, I-N-Y-A-N-A Road. A-N-A. So those are three suggestions.
Thank you for your suggestions. Any other? Well, so what I want to do is people who have not had a chance to make a comment, we're going to try to get to everyone, and then if you have made a comment, we're going to come back to you. And David's, he's trying to keep track of who raises their hand first and make sure everybody, go ahead.
Who in the world is going to be able to pronounce those names? Why is it that people, you said from different parts of the world, were voting? Why do they have control over this little burg of a town? It's ridiculous. What is going to happen is the Indians, whether they like it or not, are going to go into obsolescence, because everything that has to do with Indians that people can understand is going away. And Indians will become so obsolete, no one will even know what an Indian is.
Let me do this here real quick. So if I could just see a raise of hands, I'm going to ask two questions real quick. First question, who identifies as a Native American? Raise your hand if you have Native American blood. We've got a couple people, a few people here in the front. We have representative over here as well. So we've got about 5 or 6 people here today that identify as Native American. And how many people here, if they could have their druthers and there was no changes, you would want to keep the name? Raise your hand high. Okay. And if you, for the people who are okay with the name change, if you're okay with the name change, raise your hand high. Okay. And this is important because, again, with the videos that we have, I want to make it clear to the people at the state level, just the audience that we have, where they kind of stand on this issue overall, because we're hearing from different folks. And it's okay to have a difference of opinion, too. And so I want to hear more opinions on this topic. And I think, have you had a chance to speak? I forget. No. Okay, we'll get this young lady first.
For the cemetery, and because if this is going up to Sacramento, the earliest headstone they have is 1885 out there. And so I can't understand how they can see that a change can happen. I don't understand that part of it. And she has, the Fresno records only keep their records for a year. So they were no help to even find out for some of the missing headstones who was in that plot, because they said, we don't keep records past a year. So the people up here in Squaw Valley are taking better care of that cemetery than anybody else in California. And I just wanted that to be close to what she had to say, and if this is going up to Sacramento. I mean, 1885 is a long time, and for them not to have records of who's out there, but the people here do, no, that's not right.
Thank you for your comments. Who else has a comment?
All right, first off, this process is absurd. A word is given meaning by its use over time. A word can have more than one meaning. In fact, almost every word has multiple meanings. Like the word date. It's a fruit, a social event, and a day of the month. What if taking someone out on a date became derogatory? By the process that's happening here, the word should be banned and removed from everything. So the fruit and the day of the month would suffer because someone decided to ban the word. That sounds absurd, and that's exactly what's happening here. The even more absurd thing is the fact that the word squaw is being attacked ahead of a few other California namesakes, ones that have committed far worse tragedies than squaw ever has. For instance, Fremont, California is named after John C. Fremont. When John was in control of California, he did some really great things, like leading an army into the Sacramento River, Klamath Lake, and Sutter Butte massacres. He led hunting parties to decimate indigenous people. So what did we do? We named a city after him. Another name you might recognize is Edward Kern. He's the namesake of Kern River in Kern County, just south of here. He was a cartographer and artist. He was Mr. Fremont's right-hand man during all those wonderful expeditions into native lands. He drew pictures and made maps after the dust settled and the blood was spilled. So by the derogatory meaning of the word squaw, it's comparable to the term Jew. And by the same comparison, Fremont could be called Hitler and Kern could be called Rommel. So the entire country is attacking the Jews while Hitler and Rommel get free passes. Look, I come from a family of Italian immigrants. I come from a family of Italian immigrants. Our family name is Tartaglia, which means stutterer or stammerer, so basically the town drunk. And we're damn proud of that name. My grandfather's name was Dale. He went by Dago. He instilled in our family that what you think of us is your problem, not ours. Dago is a derogatory name for Italian people. The funny thing about Dago is, much like my grandfather, across this nation it has been accepted by Italians and embraced as our own. Hell yes, we're Dagos, what about it? The term today is no longer derogatory. The power of derogation was destroyed by acceptance. So by taking away the word squaw, the state and our federal government are taking away the right we have as citizens to embrace this word and make it our own, and take away the derogatory connotation. This is no longer about indigenous tribes. This is about us, the people of this community. This land is ours. We are squaw now. This is still America. We still have the rights of free speech. Banning words is a blatant violation of our First Amendment right. I strongly urge Gavin Newsom and Deb Haaland to leave the name of this community alone. Because for 153 years, this squaw, our squaw, means woman, and that's it. There's nothing derogatory about that. The Drake family settled in this valley before the official establishment of the community name. In that time, a European family would have never supported calling their home by a derogatory name. They could have just as easily called this Drake Valley, but they did not. They chose to honor the native women of this area. Thank you.
We have a gentleman here in the row with a wonderful mustache that wants to make a comment.
No, that's all right. I was on the Squaw Valley Cemetery. I'm wondering, does the state, does the cemetery receive any funding from the state?
Not that I'm aware of. I believe
tax
people
money?
in the district pay. I don't know if there's property taxes that are paid, but there are burial fees for sure that are collected. So I'm not aware of any other kind of state funding that Squaw Valley Cemetery District would get.
Or the county? Does the county?
Well, small property tax.
Okay.
But
Well,
again, that's all
property
local.
tax. Okay. Yeah, because it just seems like it's local. It's Squaw Valley Cemetery. Oh.
And then who lives on these roads?
And then I'm curious, folks that are here today in attendance, if we could possibly see who lives on these roads that we're considering renaming.
Are they also private?
And are these roads also private roads, as many are up here in Squaw Valley area.
So where it gets tricky with roadways is the roadways that were mentioned are county roads. And so the challenge becomes the county in the state constitution is seen as an arm of the state. And so the state has authority over counties. So a lot of the programs that we operate, social services that we provide, come through the state. The state has passed a law that now is deemed squaw offensive. And so they are, in a sense, ordering counties to change the name of signs, of communities that they represent. So they're forcing us to make these changes come January of 2025.
Who voted on these laws?
The state legislature, the assembly and senate.
That's overreach, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's
supposed to be the people, not we the
Exactly.
it should be a local issue.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Who here is
Okay.
lives in Squaw
I'm
Valley?
curious, who here, if we could raise a hands, who lives on Squaw Valley Road?
That's a great question. So I'm counting people who live on Squaw Valley Road. We've got 3 people over here. Someone in the back, maybe?
The cemetery.
Okay, so we've got a couple people here who live on Squaw Valley Road. Fair enough.
Squaw Leap.
Okay, let's, do you have any last comments?
Could I also ask, what about Squaw Leap?
That's in
Lane.
Auberry. Anybody, I think there's like 4 residences that live off of it, but anybody here today that live near or by Squaw Leap? I didn't think so.
Military's living in the cemetery.
All right.
And any families here have relatives living, who have places in the cemetery?
Who has relatives that are in Squaw Valley Cemetery? Raise your hand high. So
Okay.
we've got a good 12 or so, 12 people here. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to get
Thank
to
you.
some additional people who have questions. Thank you so much for your comments. There's someone in the back.
I've written several emails to you, and you were quite gracious in your returns, your comments on those. Is there somebody at the state level that we should be addressing our written feelings to? Do you have a source of somebody we should be writing to at the state level?
So your state assemblyman is Jim Patterson. Your state senator is Shannon Grove. So they represent you in the legislature. So if you wanted to write to them, I think that's completely appropriate. You are their constituents, but they are your representatives at the state level.
Thank you. Yeah, it sounds like they're lacking in their job. Well, we're 65% Democratic, so.
Also, you can make suggestions on Kagan's website. So there's actually an area where you can make comments if you live in the geographical area.
Very good. Any other questions? This gentleman in the blue shirt.
It sounds like all of our resources, as far as nothing personal against you, I appreciate what you've done for us so far, but it's all been shut down. So the only thing we have to resort to right now is personal lawsuits. I've heard that Lonnie filed a lawsuit.
I don't know that Lonnie I don't know that he has filed a lawsuit. At the last meeting, he kind of identified himself as willing to be point person if other people wanted to contact him, but I am not aware if he has actually done that yet. But you can follow up with him directly.
Okay, so that would be something that we have still at least a leg to run on.
That is an option if you choose to
Right.
pursue that. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone not have an opportunity to ask a question?
The California Association of Geographical Names.
We're going to get a couple people over here and then we'll get back to you.
So I'm not for the name change, but if we do have to name it, is there anything we can do to get a say in that, or is it just done?
This meeting right now is where you get that say. So after this meeting, the information that we have gathered from the last 2 meetings gets sent to the Kagan, and then they will deliberate and come up with a determination. So, yeah.
Okay.
Did the person who came up with the Yokots think of the derogatory names that has been changed to already? Because I have heard Yokots changed into Yo, see you next Tuesday.
I can't speak to that. I
Well,
don't
that's
know.
more derogatory and offensive and vile than squaw is.
Thank you. The gentleman with the hat over here has been waiting.
My name's Leroy. I've been here 45 years. Have people in the cemetery, and that don't matter. Who's going to pay for all these changes as far as money out of our pocket? That's my question.
I don't know. I can't really speak to that. Yeah. We're going to get you a microphone so you can restate your comment so it can be heard.
Okay, what we want to know is who's going to pay for all our bills, all the paperwork that we have to do, waste of gas, time. Who's going to pay for all that? I know most of these senior citizens ain't working no more. We live on a fixed income. If you're paying for it, let's go for it. But if you're not, leave us alone. Not Yokas. I don't know who came up with that name. I don't want to be part of a Tulare tribe. We're in Fresno County, okay? We don't want to be part of those guys over there. That Yokas stays over there, this is not here. You can put Bear Valley or anything else, but not Yokas. We don't belong to them.
Yeah, my name is Cleet Hammock. I've been here for about 44 years, and I pretty much grew up in this area from back in the 50s, but I moved up here about 44 years ago. Okay, question. Why do we have to go with another Indian name if you're going to change it? Yokuts is nothing more than saying Fresno County, because there's a whole bunch of Indian names up here. Mono is local. And Yokuts, they want it says people. Well, why, if you're going to change it, which I am totally against it, why don't you just change it to People's Valley? Something you can pronounce. It's just, and when I haven't received anything in the mail except for one piece where they ask you to suggest a name. That's the last thing I heard until my neighbor told me last week, oh, we're having a meeting. How come anything hasn't been sent out to all the people up here? To notify them by mail, it gets out a lot easier than word of mouth.
We have, I'll tell you, we've done our level best to try to mail to everyone who, was it the census tract, Squaw Valley census tract did we send to? So the most up-to-date addresses that we have for residences up here received mailing. Someone's holding up, actually several residences have them in their hands. So if you live outside of the census tract, it is possible you did not get one, but we tried to use the best tools at our disposal to get information out. I can tell you I posted some stuff on social media, and there's always opportunity to try to continue to, we could go door to door and knock. I've done everything I know how to do, and again, I'm here today not because I support AB 2022. I'm here so you can communicate clearly names that you like if the name has to change, and any frustrations that you have for lack of process with what AB 2022 is doing. So I just want to be clear on that as well. Yes, young lady here in the front.
Oh, goodness. I haven't been here as long as a lot of people, but one of the reasons that we moved here almost 19 years ago was because of the community that was here. I fell in love. I've never known, I've always was a city girl, never knew what it was like to, I'm going to get choked up, sorry, what it was like to have a community like this. I came up here with just my 2 kids because my husband couldn't move up with us. So we were here by ourselves, and we were welcomed in to this community. And I started at the round table. I don't know if anybody knows or remembers the round table. That was my home, so to speak. The people there linked me with people that I could trust to help me get onto my property, to put a mailbox in, to all these things that I needed to do in order to be able to live on our property. If it wasn't for that network of people that were the local yokel people that got started this community, Charlie, going back, a number of them aren't even alive anymore. A number of them lived off of Ruth Hill Road here. I don't know what I would have done. So to have the thought of this name ripped away from us, gosh, that's hard to take. And the fact that how much is going to even be heard? Unfortunately, the way our government leans, they lean towards, I'm sorry, I don't have anything against the Native American people, but they lean towards them more so than us. And I'm afraid that they're not going to ignore lovely suggestions for some of the people here, but they're going to ignore our suggestions. You even said that Bear Mountain Valley was one that was a suggestion that you took up, and they shot that down. What's to say they're not going to shoot down all of these suggestions here, and they're going to ignore all that? So is all this a bunch of BS? Are our words for nothing?
Well, I will say I hear you, and I am here. And one thing that I can say too is if you feel that you have tried to make your voice heard for years in regards to this, because we've had multiple community meetings, there have been numerous emails, there have been surveys that have been sent out. If you feel like you are being harmed, because the Constitution does say that there is equal protection under the law, and the way that our government looks at people here in the United States, all citizens should be treated equally. And so again, looking at a lawsuit that the community may want to bring, there are a number of constitutional issues that you could identify. So know that I hear you, and your frustration is palpable. I feel it. I feel it within myself. And from day one, I'm one who have said, and I still stand by this, I am not opposed to a name change as long as you, the people, are the ones that drive that process. Because change does happen. But if the community says we don't want to change, then I will fight for you, because I believe it is your right as the community, because name is identity. And so I've been very frustrated as well. A lot of things have been said about me which are not true. So I try to stay off social media and read different platforms that are saying different things. But all that being said, I hear you. I am here. These cameras hear you. And we're going to send this video to Sacramento. They cannot ignore you, because it will live forever, what's being done here.
I will help start up a committee for whatever it takes to take and put something on the ballot so we can make sure that our voice is heard. So I will, or whatever it takes to get this going our way for our committee.
Who has not had an opportunity to speak yet? Right here? Oh, perfect. Okay.
Hi, my name is Tammy Johnson Kuhn. I was born in Fresno, and I left Fresno to come up here 38 years ago. I am the mail lady for Squaw Valley Road and the other side of the mountain. I have 364 customers. I've spoken to all of them. Everyone does not want this name change. And why you're doing it for all these people that love Squaw Valley is beyond me, because it's just not right. Not right at all.
And then right here.
I had one that I had promised.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Whoever you promised.
Thank you. In my lifetime, I've lived on 3 different reservations, 3 different states. I've never heard anything derogatory used in reference to squaw. And I have many generations going back. There's never been a problem with that. But it is what it is right now in this world. And as you say, things change. But there's too many times when things change because there's not enough people to be heard. A lot of people like to make noise, But unless you call the right person or if you do the right thing, you might as well be talking to the wall. So like the young lady here, if you get organized and you make a noise in the proper way, that's going to be our best chance. People up here, including my wife and I, we love this place. Squaw Valley's our home, and I want it to stay it that way.
Thank you. This young lady right here in the black, and then we'll.
I just have a question. I'm really new to this area and I've learned a lot sitting here. If nothing changes as it is, as you talked about the decision making and the process, will they default to the people who originally chose Bear Mountain or the other choice that you mentioned at the beginning of this?
Bear Mountain, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what will happen.
Okay.
What I can say is the suggestions that are being made today are going to be presented to Kagan and that body that's going to make the decisions on what the name should be.
What was the second choice besides Bear Mountain? I forget. It's been.
There was Summer Valley was another name for the for a road, and there was one other one that we wrote down last week. I don't remember. I don't remember what it was.
Bear Valley at the beginning of your meeting. Okay, I forget too. Thank you.
My name is Betsy Wagner. My husband and I have lived here for 14 years. And with every morsel of my body, I am against changing Squaw Valley. But if it's going to happen, I'd like to give at least one more suggestion, and that would be Mountain Valley. I'm also in favor of Bear Mountain. But like I say, that is not my choice. I just would like to have more choices for the powers that be to look at. And Bear Mountain is definitely a landmark that we all know, and so that to me seems logical. Mountain Valley also is a reference to this area in more than one way.
So Mountain Valley as well. Brett, if you can write that down too. Yeah, Mountain Valley. And we have
any new
comments? People who have not spoken yet?
My name is Dave, and I just want to go on record. I don't even want to suggest new names because I'm so totally against the name change in the first place. I am so unbelievably dismayed that people who don't even live in this community could make a judgment on what a derogatory name is. It is unbelievable to me that this can happen in a country that's supposed to be run by the people. And so I want to go on record in Sacramento and here today to just say I totally oppose this name change. I know there's many others who are right there alongside in agreement with me, but I want to be one citizen by the name of Dave who says I don't like the idea, and I would vote to keep it the same as it's always been. Squaw Valley is the name of this community.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nancy, and I heard that if the name does change, that the post office might close down. And so they'll deliver our mail, but people are breaking into these things. So if you've got something that's expensive and you want to take it right to the post office, you got to go to Orange Cove or Dunlap. That is stupid. I'm sorry.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to take about 5 more minutes of comments, and then we're going to wrap up. So this gentleman over here has not spoken yet, and we'll get a couple more comments from people who've spoken as well.
Hi, I have a statement and a question. Statement is that we're not getting any new names for the valley because we feel like we're in a catch-22. As soon as we suggest a new name, then the powers that be look at it as, oh, well, they're willing to change because they sent us new names, and we're not willing to change. And then you said something about will vote people in that will fight for you. Who are those people? I mean, what is David's opinion on this? Because he's on the ballot. Do I vote for him or do I vote for somebody else? I mean,
So on that note, we are here under county business, so that's politics. We can't talk politics. But one of the things I can share with you is I have done everything in my power that I know how to do to fight for you. I've submitted surveys to you. I was a part of filing a lawsuit. And again, 2 other colleagues on the Board of Supervisors, it wasn't unanimous. 3-2 said, yes, we'll file a lawsuit to fight. We put Measure B on the ballot. And so I have been to Sacramento. I've been to Washington, D.C., trying to carry your voice. I've done everything I know how to do as your local county supervisor, but I am one man. I don't know what more I can do, but I do know that we have layers of government. You have representatives at the state level, at the federal level. They should be fighting just as hard to make sure that your voices are being heard. I don't oversee them. I work alongside them on many different issues, but they should be fighting to make sure that your voices are being heard.
I'm Native American, and the government put us on the reservation. When are they going to leave us alone? You know, these sheriffs, they put people in jail. The government turns around and lets them right back out the back door. What happened to the 3 strikes law? It don't happen. People go get a gun. The sheriff got to deal with them again. It's unfair. The government needs to stay out of it, and they need to stay out of our lives.
Thank you.
If all of this crap goes through, is it possible if some politicians other than the current ones are elected, can they change it back to Squaw Valley?
Well, anything is possible. And so I never, where we are today with a lot of these changes happening without the support of the local community, 20 years ago, I would have thought that was impossible, but it's happening. The government that is in office, what's scary to me is the values that we've had 50, 40, 60 years ago, a lot of those values are beginning to change. Priorities are changing as well. Some say that is good. Others don't see it that way. But we have a form of government where majority rules, but minority are still supposed to have rights. And so, yes, it's always possible for additional change to happen in the future because we're seeing change being forced upon us right now by individuals who are in the majority. Yes, in the back.
Okay, real quick, few points. One, I want to thank you, Mr. Magzig. You've really shown great leadership. We've had no one provide any support to this community the way you have. So we just really appreciate all that you've done. Thank you. So the other quick points are, we have to work with what we're dealt with, not because it's right. We have to work with what we're dealt with. So we are dealing with systems that are bigger than us, if that makes sense. So one question, on the appellate court, can any of our residents provide live testimony, in-person testimony at the appellate court? And 2, my other question is, what are the names of our local Native communities, our Native tribes here locally?
So to your first point, can local residents provide testimony? No, because at the appellate level, the way it works is the initial filing, the 4 corners of that initial filing, that's all that the appellate court looks at. They don't hear new testimony. It's just they look at the original filing. We believe that that filing and me as a local elected official, I should have the right to defend your rights. And if they're being violated, your constitutional rights are being violated, I believe your local elected official should be able to stand up against other layers of government to defend those. The appellate court is going to look at that main issue and make a determination on, yes, we agree with the county, or no, they agree with the superior court. So no new information is going to be heard at the appellate court. They're just going to look at the four corners of the original filing that the county had. To your question about local tribes that are here, I am not an expert, but I do know, based upon testimony from many of you and different books that I've read, the Waxahchie tribe was the original tribe here in the 1800s. And there are many people who still live here in this community that have ties to that tribe. They are the great-grandchildren. And even Roseanne, I believe, was the last tribal chairwoman of the Waxahchie tribe, if I'm not mistaken. That's what she has shared with me. And so, but that tribe is not as active as it used to be. And I don't have an explanation for that. But I've spoken to the Dunlap Band of Mono Indians, even though their tribe's in Dunlap. I've spoken to their tribal council. Before I came here today, I was with Big Sandy, with the Mono Indians, and talking to Elizabeth Kipp, who's the tribal chairwoman there. I spend time talking to a lot of the local tribes around here and people who have ties to it, because how I operate as a supervisor, I want to make sure I'm honorable. And you know what all these tribes tell me? Let the people decide. The Big Sandy tribe sent a letter, and they basically said, because I had to work with 7 different tribes, some here in Fresno County, some outside. Very few responded, but Big Sandy, their tribal council, met with me and they sent a letter. And they said, it's up to the people of Squaw Valley to pick their own name, not others. So a lot of the local tribes here support what you are doing, but again, we're dealing with state government, we're dealing with federal government, a lot of other layers which are outside of the control of just our groups here in Fresno County.
Hello,
Yes.
Manahu. My name is Tuia Garcia, and my mom and I live in Dunlap. I just wanted to say that in 2021, our tribal chair, Ben Charlie Jr., did say it is a racial slur and it is derogatory when Nathan Mexick had a meeting with our tribal council and legislative committee. So I just wanted to let everybody know that is what our tribal chair of Dunlap Band of Monos did say and has said.
But with that, and I think you would agree as well, one of the things that he did say is it's up to the people to decide their name, because that was a part of that same email, correct?
I was just speaking on the meeting that we had here, over here in the back, when he did say that, yeah.
Okay, thank you. But again, the local control issue, making sure that the people's voices of the impacted communities, having them have an opportunity to speak, that is very important to a lot of our local tribes. So with that, we're going to take one more comment. Anyone who has not had an opportunity to speak? You have not spoken? Right here, the young lady in the pink. She's going to get the last word, and then I'm going to wrap up.
Hello, I'm Kath McCunney, and we live up on Thistle Lane, which is one of the upper tracks. Our track was recorded in 1972 and bears the name of Sierra Highlands, as are many other tracks in this area. The name Squaw Valley does occur, but it occurs in 1967 and again in 1968, and that represents thousands of subdivided lots in this area, in this community. We're not a incorporated city, and when we go to be voted in or name voted on, the standard thing is to have the county vote on it. Well, we're tiny compared to the county, and I believe that's how we got the name Yokuts too. I believe it was partially voted in. And you can correct me on that.
The county did not pick Yokuts. That was picked by the state.
Okay, the state. So our local has not voted, but we would want only our community to participate in such a vote.
Fair enough.
Okay, and that would recommend, most of our area was subdivided, lot splits, starting in 1967, and the last one was done in 1972. And we bear the name either Squaw or Sierra. And so up on this thing, if Yokats is represented, I want Sierra represented.
We will put Sierra. So with that,
Oh, and I'm not in support of the Yokat name at all. And
Understood.
I own a business up on Thistle, and it's a vineyard.
thank you. So with that, that is going to be our last comment. I'm going to hang out here for a little bit. I really want to thank all of you for coming out, providing comments. This is not your last opportunity. If you want to send emails to my office or if you want to go to the Kagan website, you can do that to provide comments about how you feel or different names, suggestions that maybe come to you later. So that will be available to you. So again, thank you all for coming out today, and my office is always available to you. Thank you.